Hello, 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 and welcome in. And if you like what you're seeing, please like, share, and subscribe, and please enjoy the show. All right, hold on, I'm a little scratchy. So, welcome to Motivational Monday. My channel is I Bring It Every Day, and my name is Kelly. And today, I have kind of a slightly different view on the motivation, and I just want to say thank you guys for hanging out and like my mind is going a million miles an hour, and there's just a couple of points I kind of want to put out there today, and do with it what you will. All right, let me if I can pull this down a little bit. Yeah, that's better. All right now. So I saw Suzanne. Yes, TWP popcorn. Welcome in. It is cold. Yes, Suzanne. I am dying. Not dying, but you know what I mean. This is too much. Oh, here we go. This is too much. Yes. I think we got 5 inches, maybe a little bit more. So that's a bummer. And let's see. Woohoo, snowy day. We got 3 inches of the white stuff. Let's get motivated to clean it. I know. Kenneth, good morning. Thanks for coming. And I saw one more person. Love Crochet Babe. Hello. And you're the first. Good morning, Kelly. Hope you're staying as warm as you can. Was lurking in your live yesterday and the snow was beautiful. Thank you. But who really wants to work the work of shoveling? Nobody. All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming in. I'm going to get right to it because today is an interesting day just in the United States. This is going to be a little bit of current events and some history and some motivation. So this is what we're going to do today. So this is what's been on my mind, I guess, for the last few days. So number one, it's January 20th, 2025. Today, there's a couple of things why this day in particular is significant. There's a couple of things. So today is today that the United States government celebrates Martin Luther King Day of Service. That's number one. Number two, it's the inauguration of Donald Trump. I forget what number he is again now, president. I think 40. Is it 40? I don't know. I have to see what number he is. Is it 48? I don't know. I have to look. Maybe you guys can tell me. But that's where he's at again. So we have that going on today. And then also, like I said, on Mondays, I just like to get a little motivation so that we can start the day out on a positive note or start the week off on a positive note, kind of lay down some plans and then some steps to get to the plans. So all that being said, those are the 3 things that I kind of want to talk about today. And this is one of the quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. And if you ever get a chance to go to Washington, D.C., there are a lot of great monuments to a lot of the founding fathers and things like that in the United States. But let's see. When did they finally, I can't remember how many years it's been. It hasn't been long, but the Martin Luther King Memorial went up a few years back. I think it's under 10 years. And I don't know. I'm not well versed on that. But basically, the Martin Luther King Day of Service is literally a day of service. And so a lot of people go out and volunteer and do things in honor of Martin Luther King, because that's what he sort of tasked a lot of people to do. Is he kind of said, you kind of have to get up and make your voice heard and things like that. And he was very, very famous for a lot of the quotes, and specifically the "I Have a Dream" speech. But also, like most people that you find in history, their life is really complicated. And that is what's really interesting. But the fact, I think, that he was able to get through and do some things is interesting. I don't know, like I said, the way that the people's lives line up and things like that always fascinate me. And but anyway, I'm going to give the quote that's on the side of one of the sides of his memorial in Washington. And he says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Okay. So anyway, that's the main quote that I kind of want everybody to sort of let that hang in the air. And I'll put that in the description when I'm done. Like I said, I had some ideas on what I wanted to talk about today, but it's sort of, you can't go through Martin Luther King Day and not discuss Martin Luther King, at least in my opinion. Um, so there's that. Okay. So let's see. I'm reading this from the National Park Service. If you go to the National Park Service, NPS.gov, and then find the Martin Luther King Memorial, they really, I think they had, for some reason, it seemed like they were sort of struggling to figure out what to talk about on his memorial. And there's been some controversy about just everything, the whole sculpture, some of the quotes that are on the side, but that's like a whole nother day. But uh, what's interesting is, so I do like the one quote that's on, let's see, they say it's on which wall? It's broken down in granite wall. So there's a lot. I've noticed that with a lot of these memorials, they use granite, to kind of illuminate some of the thoughts that people were thinking, right? And let's see. So this was mm, mm, mm. Yes. And actually, when he did his I Have a Dream speech, it was right near the Lincoln Memorial. And if you know, in Washington, there's the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial, and they're all kind of sort of in an X if you look at them. And then the Washington Memorial, Washington Monument's like right in the middle. It's the big obelisk, right? And then that whole area, you can walk that within, seconds, really. It's kind of cool. So I suggest anybody, if you've never been to Washington, D.C., go down and check out the, they call it the mall, the Washington Mall, where all the monuments are. And when you fly in to National Airport, you can see just about everything. I don't know if they've changed the flight pattern, but, it's kind of cool to see it from the air, and then also cool to see it from the ground. All right. So anyway, so there's that. That's one of the quotes that he gave. And then another one, and there's a couple of different quotes on the statue. So that's on one of the uh, marble walls, which I like. And then on the other side, it says, "Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope." And that was from his I Have a Dream speech in Washington, which is August 28th, 1963. And everything is like climbing a mountain, and they're saying that's how they sort of thought of the memorial that they made to him. And now the other thing, they put this quote on here that was kind of controversial, and it looks like they removed it. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. See, I'm trying to think if I've only got to that memorial one time, and I can't remember if it was there. I think it was, and it's probably been 5 years or something. But anywho, this is the controversial quote that they took off. It was, "I was a drum major for justice, peace, and righteousness." And why? And it was from a February 4th, 1968 sermon that he gave in Atlanta. And the full quote is, "Yes, if you want to say I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all the other shallow things will not matter." Ooh, that's a better quote, actually, than what they put on the memorial. It was kind of long, but I understand that. But that's kind of cool. All right. And then let's see. On the south wall, they say, "We shall overcome because the arc of moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Ooh, this is good. All right. And then on that same wall was the one about the darkness cannot drive out darkness quote. Nice. And here we go. And this is the main idea of the holiday. "Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a better person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in." And this was taken from April 18th, 1959. It was a march for integrated schools. I don't know where it was. But, okay. I'm going to do that one again because I like it. And good morning, people coming in, and I'll greet you in just a second. Hopefully, Nightbot said hi to you. Did I see Michelle? Sweepy Sid, good to see you. Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, I'm going to get to this last quote. Just remind me. I kind of want to end it on this. um, Okay. Oh, here we go. This is another good one. See, he had some good quotes because he wrote a lot of speeches. And the I had a dream speech is one of the biggest speeches that he gave. But there are so many other better ones. I mean, he not better, but he talked about a lot of things during his life. And he was a pacifist. Let's just go back to there. So he was a pacifist. So he was anti-war, and I think that got him into trouble. And I'll tell you why a little bit later. Um, but let's see. He did a Christmas sermon in Atlanta, Georgia in 1967. And he said, if we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, our nation. And this means we must develop a world perspective. All right, now, that's a good one. I'm going to read that one again. Okay. Just bear with me. Okay. So if we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, our nation. And this means we must develop a world perspective. So this was a Christmas sermon he gave in Atlanta, Georgia in 1967. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff here. All right. Yes. Oh, here, I'll do one more. And I think I don't want to kill you too much with the quotes, but Martin Luther King said a lot of good stuff. All right, here's another one he said. This is from New York City, April 4th, 1967. Every nation must now develop an overriding loyalty to mankind as a whole in order to preserve the best in their individual societies. Oh, I like this one too. One more time. Every nation must now develop an overriding loyalty to mankind in order to preserve the best in their individual societies. And that was April 4th, 1967. Yeah. So if nothing else, like I said, Martin Luther King's life was very complicated. And I'll tell you some of the things that I learned kind of along the way. That's a good passage. Yeah, isn't it crazy? Yeah, thank you, Hugo Homestead. Yeah. I mean, I think see it's really interesting. So I'm going to try to paraphrase his life a little bit. And you can check me, I'm not a historical expert. But I do read. I do read a lot. And let me see. I want to pull up this Wikipedia page real quick. But those quotations are amazing, and I'll have to put them in the description because they're very long. And but I'm just going to type up the wiki. I just want to just give you just a basic Wikipedia page, and this is the stuff that you always learn about, right? Okay. All right. So I'm just going to paraphrase some of this, and okay. So here's the first controversy that I learned about, and I still didn't get a good explanation of what was happening there, but anyway, so he's known as Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It goes on, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? And his father's name was Martin Luther King also, right? And he was born January 15th, 1929 through April, and he died April 4th, 1968. He was 39 years old. So you got to put all this in perspective when you think about all the things that he did, and then he was only alive, for 39 years. It's crazy. Because I know I wasn't at that, even at 39 years old, I don't know if I was prepared for the things that he went through, right? The whole struggle and the whole thing, right? But anyway, he was born Michael. That was his birth name. And because his father was a minister, and he followed in his father's footsteps, they 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 changed their name to reflect Martin Luther, who was one of the he was part of the Reformation of the church, the big split, right? So interesting that they chose that person. Basically, I'm trying to think. Um, So he was born in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the second of three children. And yeah, his father was, and also, yes. And then apparently his mother's father was also a minister. So there's a lot of, you know, preaching going on in that family on both sides. Very interesting. All right now. So let's see. Yeah, let's go down. I'm just going to jump ahead here. So yeah, so they did study the Bible and things like that in their house. Yeah, they had a pretty religious house. And then apparently Martin Luther King's father was against the segregation and discrimination in the South, right? And was very active, in the civil rights. But here's kind of where he got his mindset, I guess. So part of it was his parents. He was born Baptist, growing, reading the Bible, things like that. Um, let's see. Now here's where it gets interesting. So so he went to Morehouse College, and he was young. He was a junior in high school, and it's a historically black college and he was very young. But he passed the examination. But what's interesting, and I don't think they mentioned it here, they said he played football. Pretty cool. And he graduated when he was 19 with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology in 1948. So he's pretty young, but he was active there. He played football. Let's see. Yeah. So then, what he decided to do. Now, this is where the controversy kind of gets interesting, that they don't talk about in history, and I'm going to put a link in the description of a book that it's become a college textbook, but we'll get to that later. So what happened was he enrolled in the Crozier Theological Seminary in Upland, Pennsylvania, which is near Philadelphia. And he also studied at the University of Pennsylvania, which is an Ivy League school down the road in Philadelphia. And he was elected president of the student body. And let's see, what else did he do? He studied philosophy, all kinds of stuff. And let's see. Yeah, he actually worked in a local Baptist church there while he was there. And then, oh yeah. So this is where it gets interesting. All right, so this is what they don't talk about, and this other book talks about. And like I said, I'll have to put it in the description because it's Monday morning and my brain's not 100% going here. But here it is. So what happened was he actually fell in love with a woman in Chester, Pennsylvania, which is where this theological seminary was, and it was a white woman, right? And he was involved in an interracial relationship, and he wanted to marry this woman. But what happened was his parents, gave it a big no. So he brought her home, and it's not in a lot of his history books, but he did try to marry this woman, and his parents gave it the big kibosh, and but not surprising for the times, right? Yes. And then he was doing guest pastoring, so that was very interesting. And then, he kind of carried on. But he met Coretta King. He actually, first of all, he goes to Boston, and he studies at the Boston University. And let's see what else. Whoops, I just dropped a book. Sorry about that. And he meets Coretta Scott there at Boston University, and of course, they fall in love and marry, and they get married in 1953, and they had 4 children, right? So. And then the big breakthrough was the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. And just to give you just a little bit of background on that. So in Montgomery, so during the course of this time, he's starting to get noticed, and the people who were sort of thinking about fighting the civil rights movement said, "Hey, we need a young, articulate man to sort of lead the movement." And that's sort of how he got chosen into this whole thing. So there's a lot kind of, like, was he chosen? Was he a plant? I don't know. But the bottom line was, because he was very well spoken and, had a good, clean life, and, was a married man and things like that. He was kind of chosen by the local civil rights people as sort of the spokesmodel. I shouldn't say spokesmodel, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So yes, yes. Oh, here we go. Yes, and there we go. Oh, thank you about the Martin Luther. Yeah, he nailed the decree to the door of the church. That's right. Yeah. So Martin Luther was a badass. I'll just put it that way, right? And so was Martin Luther King. I mean, you got to say, you got to be a you got to be a badass because this is not easy to do, right? Um, but anyway, but the Montgomery bus boycott was basically so Montgomery. It turns out that the primary people that were riding the bus in Montgomery were African Americans, but they were getting mistreated, right? And I guess these civil rights people kind of got together and said, "What can we do to put some pressure on them to treat us a little bit better, right?" And oh yes, thank you for coming in, Uno. Good to see you. Yes, passing through. Thanks for the thumbs up, and thanks for the thumbs. Anybody coming in? Okay, so so they choose Martin Luther King. He's young. He's a minister of a church. He's got a cute family. Everything's great, and he's a pretty good speaker. But what happened? So the way the story goes is that Rosa Parks, decided, she was been working. It was a long day. She was tired, and they asked her to move, from the front of the bus to the back of the bus, and she said no. It was like like a protest, and then they arrested her. But the thing that's interesting about that Rosa Parks story is that previous to that, a young girl in town had done the same thing earlier. I don't know how much earlier, but you can, check me out, do your own research. But her name is Claudette Colvin. Yes, yes, Claudette Colvin. And she was 15 years old. Now, here's the interesting thing about Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin was 15 and pregnant, right? And she was unmarried. And she just got sick of the treatment also, right? And she said, "Oh no, not today," right? Yeah. So, but the thing that's very interesting is Claudette's story was in the newspaper. They talked about her and everything, but they did not want to use her as the spokesperson because she was in a delicate situation. And but behind the scenes, now this is very interesting. Claudette had been kicked out of her mother's house. Because most parents were not having that back in those times, right? It was 1955. And poor Claudette got kicked out of the house. And guess who took her in for a while? Can anybody guess? Let's see if we can in the chat. Just guess who took her in. Mm. Let's see if anybody can guess. So Claudette Colvin, the 15-year-old girl who was pregnant, guess who took her in? If anybody can guess. You got it. Yeah. Yeah. And what's really tragic about that situation is not tragic, but Claudette Colvin, luckily for her, she left the area. Like she got out of Dodge. She moved to New York City and never looked back and never went back, as from my understanding, to the area. But Rosa Parks had taken her in and basically, and this is not going to be popular, but kind of stole her story and became this big national treasure. So it's very interesting. So anyway, that being said, there's some historical, yeah. Okay. So that's and now if you think about it, the reason, and I'm trying to look at both sides of this thing. The reason that they chose Rosa Parks was that she was a married woman. She was older, and she had also been active in the NAACP in that area too. So she had already kind of been not groomed. I hate to use that word, but she was like a better spokesperson than little Claudette. But don't despair. Claudette moved to New York City. I think she eventually married. She became a nurse and worked there for many, many years. And she popped up not long ago. Well, I'm going to say I saw her on the Today Show, and that's how I learned about her. I actually got a good picture of her, and I went, "Wow." I never knew about her because they don't talk about her in history, you know? So that being said, but here's the bottom line with let's get back to the boycott. So the boycott, the basic thing about it was because the African Americans were basically economically supporting this bus system, it went bankrupt when they stopped riding. And so they started ride sharing and walking, and people were walking. And if you look at the video from that time, it's crazy. And people back then dressed really fancy, and they're walking down the street in their high heels and hats and gloves and all this. And they're walking for miles. And so some of these people were walking miles and miles a day. It was crazy. And it really worked. And so what you find is that civil disobedience can work, you know. Yeah. And it was so bad that the bus company said, please call off your people and start riding the bus again. Yeah, it's crazy. So there it is. So that's kind of where Martin Luther King started. All right. Ay, ay, ay. So anyway, that's kind of the first thing. I just wanted to sort of put his, and that sort of was the beginning, of his civil rights. And then he went through, just a lot of different things. And then I think, so sort of toward the end, and I hate to just jump to the end, but toward the end, he started talking against the Vietnam War, and I think this is what got him into trouble and why he had the end that he had. Okay, and because the Vietnam War, as we know, like looking back, it's see, it's easy to look back and say, "Oh, it was wrong" or whatever. It's easy to come to a conclusion, but when you look at it, well, you have to look at everything from both sides, and I guess that's what I'm always saying in life. You have to sort of try to look from many, many different points. But, in hindsight now, we know the Vietnam War had a lot of negative, lasting impact on a lot of lives. And we realized that, like a lot of those veterans that came back, were not treated well. And, just so many things that happened. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's like I wasn't around at that time, so I can't really say, but hindsight's 2020. You can always go, "Oh man, that's clear that wasn't right. We should have probably stayed out of that." Blah 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 blah. So, but the United States has always been kind of like the savior, of the world, and I'm not sure why, but we've always gotten in the middle of a lot of conflicts, and and I'm realizing, like as a slightly older person, but even when I was young, I think by the time I got to high school, I realized that I was probably a hippie, and when I say hippie, I say that jokingly, but I'm definitely a pacifist. And so my whole brain kind of goes toward um, pacifism, you know, and I would rather avoid the wars, but I understand why we've had a lot of these wars because a lot of people have gotten wealthy off of the wars, people in power, and it's kind of tragic that a lot of life is lost. See, for me, it's the life loss. I'm just coming as a human being. I'm like, hey, war is bad because people don't make it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of yeah. So anyway, but that's kind of what I'm realizing that for me, war is not the answer. You know what I mean? And I'll quote that Marvin Gaye. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, but let me just show you this last quote on Martin Luther King. And then he talked about the Vietnam War. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. And this is where I think this is pretty good. And like I said, and I think this is what got him into trouble. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hold on. Of course, I lost the page. I'm doing too much. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. Is this the one? Well, he talks a couple different things about war. He says, it's not enough to say we must not wage war. It is necessary to love peace and sacrifice for it. We must concentrate not merely on the negative expulsion of war, but the positive affirmation of peace. And this was at anti-war conference in LA, February 25th, 1967. Yes. And, oh, I cannot find that Vietnam War thing here. Oh, but anyway, but along the way, he did get the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, Norway in 1964. Yeah, which is very important. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that was the Yeah, that was the quote, one of the quotes there. So yeah, and then he said, I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why, let me see if I'm doing this. This is why right temporarily defeated is stronger than evil triumphant. Let me try that again. Woo! Here we go. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That is why right temporarily defeated is stronger than evil triumphant. Woo! That's a long one. See, he's got some great quotes. So there's that. And then, oh, here it goes. Here's the Vietnam War one. Okay. You ready? So I think this is what got him kind of in trouble. He said, I oppose the war in Vietnam because I love America. I speak out against it, not in anger, but with anxiety and sorrow in my heart. And above all, with a passionate desire to see our beloved country stand as a moral example to the world. And this was an anti-war conference in Los Angeles, California, February 26, 1967. Okay. I'm going to read that one again, if you don't mind. I oppose the war in Vietnam because I love America. I speak out against it, not in anger, but with anxiety and sorrow in my heart. And above all, with a passionate desire to see our beloved country stand as a moral example of the world. So that's kind of it right there. So anyway, but I feel like because he was speaking negatively about the war is what got him assassinated. All right. So well, let that meditate and let me know what you think. Yes, I'm going to go back up. I see some more quotes here. But yeah, so very, very deep, right? So that's one half. One half of today. And I know I left you with a lot. And so I'm going to put all this in the description when I'm done. But I really, just want to say I really thought I had a completely different thing planned today. And then I said, I have to rework this a little bit. But anyway, let me find the name of this book. And it's very long. And this is a book that I read when it came out. So I was in the DC area at the time working, and this book came out, and people it kind of blew the world away. And it's a very long title. Oh boy, it is long. Okay. Yeah, I have to blow this up because this is crazy how big this title's very long. So this is why I'm having a little stumble here. Okay. It's very long. Bearing the Cross, Martin Luther King Jr., and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. It's called A Personal Portrait by David J. Garrow, Garrow. And this book was written up in the Washington Post, and all the reporters broke this thing down over a period of weeks. It was crazy. So I couldn't avoid it back in the day because I just kind of got riveted by it. But one more time, the title's crazy. So here it is. It's Bearing the Cross, the Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, a personal portrait by David J. Garrow. Okay. And basically, and you should check it out. I'm going to put the name in the description because it's long. It's a very long title. Anyway, this book became a college textbook. And there's a lot of Amazon and reviews on this. So it's really interesting. But the theory of the book is that David Garrow kind of equates Martin Luther King with Jesus. And now don't get angry, but listen to this for a moment. Oh, thank you, Miss Dawn. Thanks for coming in. And thanks for the membership. Let's see who got it. Of course I can't see who got it. Maybe you can tell me who got it. Who got it? Is it 4T? Maybe. Let me go to the other side here. Who got it? No, Country Hustle 101 got it. Okay. Well, congratulations, Country Hustle. Yes, and thank you, Miss Dawn. I appreciate it. Okay. So anyway, but this book, getting back to the book, so the David Garrow kind of equates Martin Luther King with Jesus, because if you study the life of Jesus, in the Gospels and everything, the one thing that Jesus, like, he knew he had a mission, and he went through the mission, but at the very end, he started to get a little anxious about it because he knew how it was going to end, right? And it was kind of similar to the way Martin Luther King um, went through, because he knew he had a mission, but because he was speaking out against, the Vietnam War, he knew that it was going to be like, he knew he was going to die. And his "I've been to the mountaintop" speech is crazy, and it's so, like, moving, but he's full of angst because he knows he's not going to make it, right? And so check that out. And a lot of these speeches, by the way, with Martin Luther King, were recorded by Motown, and you could actually buy these back in the day when so he had a record deal with Motown, and that's a little side thing about Martin Luther King too, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, so if you want to hear these speeches, but now we have, MP3s and all this, so you can hear all this stuff. But back in the day, they did record him because they were like, this guy's amazing. His speaking was amazing. So anyway, so check out that book by David J. Garrow if you want to learn more about Martin Luther King, because it kind of breaks down the whole civil rights movement and all the back doors. So because what I found was that oh, hey, Silence is My Virtue and Buddha, good to see you in my Vita Loca. Thanks for coming in. The one thing that they said in the book, in that they don't really talk about in history, is that the civil rights movement was very strategic, and I don't know if they ever really illuminated that. And David J. Garrow kind of breaks it down, and he talks about all of the players in the background, and so, like, Thurgood Marshall, was a Supreme Court justice, but he was a civil rights lawyer with the NAACP. And he did the Brown versus Board of Education, which desegregated, I forget which city now. You got to back me up on that one. But it was like I think it was Arkansas, Little Rock. They were desegregating the schools, and he, I think, was one of the lawyers or the attorneys that was writing the briefs to do that. And then he became a Supreme Court justice later on. But so they try to do it through litigation. They try to do it through protests. So a lot of this stuff is very strategic, and this David Garrow book really breaks it down. So if you want to learn more, I would say check it out. And yes, so and that's what really kind of got me interested in a little bit more in history, because I always felt like, unfortunately, they cut out all the good stuff, in history, so you miss out, so. And like I said, I didn't know that Martin Luther King was in Pennsylvania for a minute, doing his divinity studies. And until years ago, I was working for a medical company, and in my little sales territory. So I go over there, and I'm like, so I go to this hospital, right? And I'm pulling up, and I see this old, kind of a decrepit, looked like a dorm, but an old building, and it had a, one of those little signs, and it said, "Hey, Martin Luther King studied here from blah 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 blah." And I went, "Martin Luther King?" Like, I had to pull over and, like, read this sign. I mean, it was kind of on the edge of this, where this hospital was, and I went, "Wow." I had no idea. But anyway, but he ended up, he got a PhD from Boston University, and hence the doctor, and spent some time in Pennsylvania, Morehouse College. So yeah, it's crazy, right? Yes. So there's that. Now let's talk a little bit. I'm going to just switch gears, and let's talk about, today. Like today, right now, we're having a change of power in the United States. The inauguration is going to start probably in about 5 minutes. So anyway, so thank you so much for hanging out there with me. So the bottom line is today, today Donald Trump is going to be coming in, for the second term. And I'm not sure what he's going to do, but like I said, I always sort of sit back and watch every president that comes in, and I kind of say, "Hey, what are you doing? What's going to happen? Will anything change?" Now, the one thing that I want to say, if you kind of compare and contrast Donald Trump and Martin Luther King, the one thing that I can say is I don't think Donald Trump has demonstrated a lot of the positive virtues. Virtues. So I see that word from Buddha. Silence is my virtue. From Donald Trump. And so I'm going to just leave everybody kind of with this thought. And I hope, because like I said, a lot of people are really, and I'm kind of stealing a little bit of this from Dave Chappelle. Um, and if you saw him, he was on SNL a couple days ago, and in his monologue, and it's interesting because we're sort of on the same page, Dave Chappelle, wherever you are. He said basically for Donald Trump, a lot of people are depending on him, and he should do better. And I went, oh my gosh, that was the title of my last week's thing, was do better. So I hope and I pray that he will do better, in the second term, to make the US, I'm not saying look good, but I hope he does well. And I wish that for any president that comes in. But I am a little concerned based on past behavior. So that being said, I hope he will be better and do better, because he has all the power right now, you know? And that's kind of where I want to leave today's thought, you know, be better. Today is a day of volunteer service. I mean, because the weather is so bad, I don't know if we're going to be able to get out of our driveway. It's bad out there. We've got 5 inches of snow covered with a little bit of ice. I don't know if we're going to be able to do better today, but maybe we'll do better, throughout the following year, to do some volunteer work. And that's kind of what this Martin Luther King Day of Service is, to make sure that you try to get out. You can donate money. I mean, there's other ways. There's ways that you can help out, to the people who are less fortunate. And that's kind of, one of the things that he did. And so usually, a lot of the churches in the area have a program, and then they usually have like a soup kitchen. And so that's some of the things that they've done in my area. And then in other areas, they've done other things. But that's kind of what I just want to leave you guys a little bit with. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. And let me just say hey to You're Running with a Smile. Good morning. Good morning, official Jamia. And our treasured home. Oh, what? Thank you guys so much for coming in. Yearning for a Smile. Good morning. Oh, and here we go. I like this title. As the Hobbies Turn Plus Fiber Arts. Good to see you. Things constantly change, no matter who's in power. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, and I'm just saying, I hope things change for the better. And somebody said that. Diamond Girl. Here we go. Diamond Ring Girl. I think Trump is a bit different since he had a near life taken. Yeah, we can only hope. Yes. And that's where I'm at. So, yes. And like I said, see, the thing is, power is great, but there's a lot, you know how it is with anything that you get in life. There's always positives and negatives. And being in the public eye is very tricky. It can be very tricky. So I always say, like, I don't know. See, I'm thinking if I was in his position, Trump, since he was president already, I would have been fine, with just one term, and I would have just went on into the sunset. But I don't know, if he really has a plan to do something big or different or help. See, my whole thing is just do well, represent our country well, like, and just kick it up. That's all I'm saying. And it's okay, if he wants to do things outside the box. But I just want to say, hey, kudos to you, but do it well. Like, don't play with this position. This is not a game. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm saying. Yeah. So I don't know what you think of that, but that's where we are. Okay, let's see what Kimmy's saying. I don't think we've ever had a president that's been a wonderful all-around president. However, regardless, I have respect for the position and will always try to keep that in mind. Yep. Yeah, I mean, listen to this. So just getting back to, like, I've been having these flashbacks about elementary school and stuff like that, and with the presidents. And I came from an area that was, like, heavily indoctrinated into, America, rah, 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 And I always like, because I've been sort of the type of person who sort of just watches things and then he sits back and kind of goes, you know. But like I was never, I would say, indoctrinated, in that way. But and it's just because of who I am, being a black person in America, you're on the fringe, even if you're not, you know. And so I was always very like skeptical of a few things. But the thing that I want to say is, a lot of people, we're sort of blindly like, they sort of blindly believe everything they see or hear or whatever. And I was always a little bit of a skeptic, not big, because I'm not arrogant enough to say I know everything, because I don't. But I just do the research, and I've always been that person, right? Yeah, let's see. Oh, so anyway, so talking about the presidents, well, let's see, and I'll get back to that. Yeah, Diamond Ring Girl. I will admit, I'm not sad to see Biden go. He isn't a strong leader. Obama and Trump are strong leaders. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, and I still don't know why. Um, and I'm not an ageist, but I feel like at a certain point you have to sort of. I don't think he should have been in office this past term. He should have been in office 10 years before, but I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, I just think he was not as effective as he could have been. It's kind of tragic. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And as the hobbies turn, plus fiber arts is saying, yep, being in charge of the US is a whole lot. And it's not easy because of all the experiences and background. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a big job. And see, people sort of downplay it. And I think, especially right now in the world that we're living in, it is very complicated. You know what I mean? And I think, yeah, that's the deal. Okay, 4T. Yeah, since we have a new prime minister, our economy is getting a little bit better. He has been going around the world to grow the economy, but I don't know why some don't like him. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, see, the thing is, 4T, no, not everybody's going to like you regardless, whether you're the little guy or the president or whatever. But, people are always going to find negative, things about people, which is tragic. But I always say, like, just keep an open mind. Just in terms of life, no matter what it is, you got to keep an open mind. Yes. Oh, there. Yes. Yes. There we go. Presidents are only perfect at their funerals. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you want to, if you want an eye opener, check out the hidden history of President Kennedy. He's a prime example of somebody who was not. He was beloved and hated, and he was taken out, right? And he did. There was some dirt, you know. There was some dirt behind the scenes, and but when he passed away, yeah, he became perfect. It's very interesting. Yes, 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 and that is true for yeah, or yeah, and even in the States, yeah, our politics is a little bit all over the place. Yeah, so. Oh yes, and oh, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for the thought-provoking talk today, Kelly. Yep, thank you so much. So anyway, so that's what I was thinking about. This is how my brain kind of works. And so, like I said, do well, do better, be better every day. You don't have to change the world, but I think little steps that people can take can change the world. And even though we don't have the power, like I know I don't have a whole lot of power. I've never really wanted the power, but I just wanted people to be open, to open to what I say a little bit. That's all. You know. But like I said, the presidency is a big, it's a ceremonial position. It really is. And, when you think of, like President Obama, I mean, he was kind of the poster child of the, whatever do you want to call it? Like, he was a good spokesmodel. I'll just say that. Spokesperson, spokesmodel. He was good in that regard. And I don't think he had too much scandal going on, although I don't know. Well, TBD, to be determined, but I think that's the type of person, that in terms of the world, it sort of helps, if you have a person who has sort of an open mind and can talk to people and engage, and take notes. I always feel like Obama, I always felt like he was kind of reading, watching, learning, always behind the scenes, doing a lot of stuff. And yeah, so there's that. Yes. And let's see. Oh, Diamond Ring Girl. So yes, when I was little, I was given the impression that Kennedy was the best president. Now I know some of his dirt. Not to put on the pedestal, I thought. Yeah, it's crazy. And so that's the bottom line is you can't put humans, on a pedestal because you got to remember they're humans, right? But a lot of these, especially these, well, let me just tell you. So political men, unfortunately, get approached by a lot of women anyway, and that's part of it too. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that I'm not saying it's not their fault, that they act on this stuff, but definitely famous men and powerful men get a lot of attention, from the opposite. And so I think you really have to be a strong person to be able to push that stuff aside. And I know for a fact that, John F. Kennedy was young. He was young, he was somewhat attractive, so I'm sure these women were throwing themselves at him. You know what I mean? And I'm sure even Obama. I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? So what happens, and even Martin Luther King. People were pushed. Preachers get a lot of attention. In on the pulpit, and so and I've seen that kind of up close. Not with Martin Luther King, but just in general, in churches that I've attended, that they do get a lot of attention from the opposite sex. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, it really is. You would think in the pulpit that would be a safe place, but it really isn't, because there's a lot of power even that comes with being a minister. And just look at all those TV people, right? Yes. And then let's see. Sorry, I'm laughing at this because I had a flashback. But anyway, so so Hobbies is saying, as a senior, I want to go into the life I got left as a position, a positive experience. Sorry. Why be mad or sad? People in power only have it over me if I let them. Ooh, I like this. I am at peace and I enjoy what I have. Love life. Okay, I'm going to read that again because I read that poorly. Let me do it again. As a senior, I want to go into the life I got left as a positive experience. Why be mad or sad? People in power only have it over me if I let them. Ooh, I love that. I'm at peace and enjoy what I have. Love life. Okay. I am digging that. I'm going to pin that. Yes. That's amazing. So that's a good way to look at life. Let me see if I can put this here. I want to pin this. I like it. Yes. All right now. Let's see what else. And then Lady Campion, hello. So true. No person belongs on a pedestal. And hi. Yes, thank you for coming in. Yeah, that's for sure. And that's something that I was guilty of, putting a lot of people on pedestals. And they always say, don't meet your heroes because then you'll be sadly disappointed. But yeah, politics in general, this is what Yarning for a Smile saying, is so strange to me. I find it interesting, but its ability to separate people in general is crazy. People are much more than a political party. Yeah. See, and this is the part that I don't understand, because I swear when I was younger, people were not that tied to things. And it seems like over time, it's just gotten more uh, kind of cult like. That's the way I would call it. And 4T saying, a lot of our high name people here have been caught doing bribes, which is sad. Yes. People get very wealthy. I mean, I'll just tell you, in Washington, D.C., hey, Kal-El, a lot of people get wealthy after becoming politically connected, when they join Congress and the Senate. And that's kind of an interesting thing. People, and even presidents, get more wealthy when they come into office. And, it's because they can write books and do speeches. And that's a nice gig. You know what I mean? 20,000, 40,000 a speech. I'd take it. Yes. Yes. Nicely put. That's what Lady Campion's saying to the Hobbies. And then Kim is saying, 4T, that is everywhere. Humans in general are blindsided and greedy, and money and power will pull it out of some people. Yep. If you look at everybody who's come to Congress, they they've all gotten wealthy, serving, you know what I mean? Yes. Yep. And I don't know how to change that. You know what I mean? Just something to think about. I always go, you know. Yes, media made into gang mentality. That's what Kal-El's saying. Hello. After all the countries are ran like gangs. Well, you're right about that. Sad, really. Yeah, that is interesting. So I don't know. How do we change it? Something to think about. Um, because I swear, going to Congress, I don't think anything like let's say if I ran for Congress, I'm not going to, but let's just say I did. Could I really change anything? I don't know. Because they've got it. Things are what, they're doing great. They get free health insurance for life. They get pensions. They get all this stuff. It's good. I would love to have all those things. Yes. And then Lady Campion, you can only become a president if you have a lot of money. That's correct. Unfortunately, that's the kind of our setup right now. Popularity contests cost a lot. Wow. All right, girl. I see you. Yeah. It's true. Like you can't just run a campaign without all the money. And if you look at the amount of money that they were spending on these, like this last election, I kind of was watching the money. This time, I try to not watch the money because if I watch the money, I get mad. But um, millions of dollars burnt to the crisp. It's gone. That could have gone to social programs. See, and I'm a hippie in that regard. Homelessness, food, hunger, homelessness. I'm look up just the basic life essentials. That's what I'm thinking about, just from that level. Yes. So yeah, and the fact that I don't even know how much money they spent. I'm afraid if I look, Lady Campion, I'll be very sad. It'll make me very sad. But oh my gosh, so we did it. So like I said, so that's where I want to leave you. I'm going to put all these quotes in the description box. Go back and read that book from David Garrow if you haven't. It's about this thick, whatever this is. It's like 3 inches thick, but I read that book in probably a week or 10 days. I was so riveted by all these strategy that was going on. Because I think, like I said, this book really talks about the strategy behind the civil rights movement. Because I thought it was more reactionary, but it was not. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So one more, I'll tell you the title because it's long. Let's see. Okay. Oh, let me see. Hold on. Yeah, you don't want to know. If you know how much it's crazy. Yes. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oh, this is good. I don't know how much Republicans made, but I heard Kamala raised $2 billion. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And it's gone. That money is gone. It's toast. Right? Let's see. Yes. Okay, it's gotten so much about the money. It is almost like it will never be truly revealed to the average person. That's what Kim's saying. It's like we are living in a purge movie and they're just playing a game. They are. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of money, and yeah, and Lady Campion doesn't want to know. Let's see. A 4T saying, the thing that shocked me is that medical charge in the US is pretty high. That's correct. I've seen people saying about it. Here, people only need to pay $1. Oh, which people still feel ungrateful. Yeah, that's not bad. So, like one of your, I don't know what you call that because he's in Malaysia. So yeah, well, so that's one of my passions. Ironically, 4T, because I did work for a health insurance company uh, for a while. I only worked there about 13, 14 months, and I had to get out of there because it was so evil. And that's a story for another day. Health insurance in this state. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And you saw what happened, a couple months ago, right? To the CEO of United Healthcare. And that goes to show you how angry people are about their healthcare. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Oh, thank you, Hobbies. Yes, you are changing things around right now. Jesus did it with no power or money. He built a whole way of thinking just by changing minds around him. He was hated at his time. That is correct. Yeah. And yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah, I guess it can be done. See, I'm sort of, this is a motivation, but I'm being negative. So shame on me. But I guess I'm sort of a practical person too. You know what I mean? Like when you watch things over and over, you just kind of go, ugh. But yeah, what can we do? Yeah. But now we got to say, what can we do to change things? Yep. 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 And you're getting the high five from as the hobbies turn. Yep. From yearning for a smile. And we got almost homesteading with Janet. Good morning, young lady. Look at you and your cow. That's adorable. I love it. Let's see what Kal-El's saying. Let's see. Put it this way. No one would be in there if they didn't really want them in there. Oh, right wing, left wing. It's the same bird. Yes, shaking my head. It's interesting, isn't it? Yes. And Lady Campion said, the trick is to realize all of this and not get caught up in the emotional turmoil. Yes. Thank you, girl. Just love one another regardless. I am digging that. Okay. I see you, Lady Campion. Yes. There we go. Okay, we're going with that. I love that too. Love one another. Yes. Yep, we're getting the high fives from Kim. Let's see. Janet saying, I worked for a major pharmaceutical company for a while. That was very interesting. All right, now we'll have to take notes. Or we have to compare notes behind the scenes. Yes. Yeah. And Diamond Ring Girl says, it saddened me people getting free health care and they will run to the ER in place of a family doc because they get it all for free. Sad. Well, yeah. See, okay. So this is my theory on all this healthcare. So over the years, a lot of people were that was a problem for sure. But the other thing that was a problem was there was a lot of fraud. And I don't know how you find fraud, but I guess there was just fraud. I'm just going to just say there was a lot of fraud in healthcare. And that's why they went to this medical record, electronic medical record. This is why they ask you for your ID every time you come in there, because there was a lot of fraud. So they were trying to minimize a lot of this stuff. But the bottom line is, and then doctors were overcharging. I will say, I think they were just a little bit, but I think we've gone too far the other way. So this is what happens. It was too free or too unmonitored on one side. And now we're being extremely monitored where they're trying to monitor how much anesthesia somebody gets during surgery. That's crazy. I don't know how you can even do that because everybody's body is different and you might need differing amounts. I don't know. Like I think about these things and I go, this is crazy. But there it is. Let's see. Malaysian ringgit. Okay, thank you. Thank you for explaining that. It changed to US dollars. Oh, it is. So one Malaysian ringgit would be only a few cents. Oh, so they pay almost nothing. So that's great. 4 T's in Malaysia. All right now. And then Janet saying, Kal-El, my brother-in-law says that about the right wing, left wing saying bird. Yeah, that's very common. I've been hearing a lot of that too. Yeah. But they are friends, right? Well, I'll tell you, here's some scandal. So did you see that picture? You saw that picture of Obama sitting next to Donald Trump at the funeral, Jimmy Carter's funeral. And they were kind of yucking it up and they were looking pretty cozy. And people were horrified by that. Now, I don't know what that means, but I remembered that picture and I said, oh, wow, interesting. I just remember going, interesting. And they were just, kind of chilling out. And then I remember, I forget what ceremony it was, but it was when George W. Bush left office. It might have been somebody else's funeral. I don't remember whose funeral it was, but he was sitting next to Michelle Obama. I don't know if you guys remember this, but George W. Bush was sitting next to Michelle Obama. And he handed her like a butterscotch or something in the middle of the service. And she's like, ooh. And it was really the funniest thing I ever saw. And then you kind of go, oh, wow. Now what's going on there? Like, that was weird, right? So maybe they are friendly, behind the scenes and, this in front of the scenes. I don't know. But it was very interesting. But Kal-El saying, Janet, what can I say? Yeah, it's funny. Yep. And then, Janet saying, Kal-El, it's so true. Yes. But anyway, so there's, it's very interesting. So Diamond Ring Girl said, oh my, I don't ever want surgery if I don't get enough to get knocked out for the whole time. Right. You see, this is, I think, now don't quote me, but it might have been United Healthcare that was trying to tweak the anesthesia costs. And so they were saying, well, don't give them so much or don't administer it for so long. And I'm going, are you like, this is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for me anyway. Yes, Lady Campion said there are pictures like that with the Trump and the Clintons too, as I recall. It's kind of like an exclusive social club. And see, and that's what Dave Chappelle was talking about. He said it's not race or whatever, or even political party. It's more class. And I think he's absolutely right about that. Yeah. So yeah, So there you go. Yeah, so the lady champion, that is true. Yep. They were just yucking it up and they were looking all cozy, and you just go, okay. And yes, there we go, Kim. Politicians are some of the best actors out there. Yes. It's crazy. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Don't know. And then Janet saying, yes, regardless of their political side, they have riches in common. Very, and not just a little bit of money. They're set. You know what I mean? And their grandkids are set. Their kids are going to be set. They're set. Their kids are set. Probably their grandkids are set. Maybe their great grandkids will be set. Yeah. So let's see. As the fibers turn, saying, old school funeral, you don't make fusses. It's not about the attendees. It's about the life of that was in the coffin. That's right. Yes. And 4T saying, even our monarchs don't have much power because we use constitutional monarchy. I think. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Yeah. Well, I'll have to do some research on that. Oh, sorry. Diamond Ring Girl. Yes. Yeah, the ads. I just shoved them in there, and I let YouTube do their magic. But let's see. So we got She Spins. Hi. Welcome in. So anyway, so we made it to the hour. So those are the things that I want you guys to think about. So just remember all those great quotes, from Martin Luther King. We'll wish, our new president well. Hopefully he'll behave. I mean, that's what I'm asking. And then and really make some positive changes for the country. That's what so I'm asking everybody, we should all pray that he does the right thing, and that he's better than he was last time. Yeah. I think that's what I'm thinking. Yes. Oh, here we go, Annabelle. I love it. Let's see. I love George Carlin. I already said it. The working class and poor keep fighting while the rich steals all the money. Well, yes. Money that our minds could never understand. That is what is mind-blowing. That's right. So anyway, have a great day. Thank you for coming in, everybody. And good to see everybody. And like I said, hopefully I left you with some thoughts. And I'll put all these quotes in the description. And as we go through your day, we'll try to be better. And let's try to think of the positive things, that Martin Luther King did, and see how we can implement some of that volunteerism in our life as we go forward this year. Because today, I think, is toast in the Northeast. Yeah, we're not going to get a whole lot done today. But, going forward, let's all do it. So thank you so much. And let's see. What else can I do here? That's it. I think we did it. So anyway, so like and share. And if you don't belong to the channel, come and join and hang out with Ibringiteveryday. I love it. So thank you so much. But we'll see you soon. All right. And thanks for watching. Okay. All right now. So thank you so much. We'll see you soon and have a good day. Bye-bye.